and I was getting consistently on tenor and even, much to the annoyance of my neighbors, on alto, up to a triple Altissimo A flat. I wanted to make a video where I introduce myself more to everybody who's been watching. Whether you found this channel recently or you've been here since I started it back in 2020, I really appreciate any attention at all that you're giving to the content that I make. I've also been meaning for a while to tell the stories of the absolutely crazy things that have happened to me over the past few years, which is why I stopped making YouTube content in the first place, and I even stopped playing the saxophone for several years. I also want to talk about where I'm planning to take this channel moving forward, since both the channel and myself have experienced a kind of rebirth. I'm going to do this over 4 videos, so if you're more interested in the saxophone content that I make, feel free to skip these, and then I'll be back to the usual type of content in the beginning of January. So much to the fuel of my imposter syndrome, I'm not a professional saxophonist. I have a PhD in chemistry, and I currently work as a lecturer teaching general and organic chemistry at a big university. So then how did I end up with a YouTube channel about saxophone? Well, when I was 14, I heard my band teacher play the saxophone, a guy named Carl Cox. I'll link to some of his stuff in the description because he's really an incredible player. And that was the first time I heard a genuinely trained and devoted saxophonist play the instrument. And I was absolutely floored. I lost interest in whatever else I was doing at the time, and the only thing I wanted to do with my life was play the saxophone. So my focus over the next 4 years was getting into music school and becoming a professional saxophonist. So I started off college as a saxophone major, but even after 5 years of really dedicated work, I still struggled to play the saxophone. Not even musically speaking. I mean, just as an instrument, I couldn't reliably play the palm keys. But I ultimately felt really discouraged with the saxophone, like I would never really be able to be as good as I wanted to be. And I had also developed some other interests when I got to college, so I thought, maybe I should just get a career in something else and I can keep music on the side if I want to keep doing it. Side note, if you can hear this scratchiness in my throat right now, that's going to be a major topic for video 3. So I changed my major to chemistry and completely stopped playing the saxophone pretty much for the rest of college. Maybe I picked it up 2 or 3 times, but I had basically decided, I think I'm done with the saxophone. This instrument is just not for me. I never stopped music though, and my main instrument became the ukulele, which I played like a little guitar. So I finished my bachelor's degree in chemistry, and I'm getting ready to move to Los Angeles to do a PhD at the University of Southern California. And right before I do this, I decide, I think I should try playing the saxophone again. And I really love the tenor. So I sold the saxophones that I did have to buy a really nice tenor sax. And as soon as I started playing again, even though I had lost some things after not playing for about 3 years, I immediately thought, wow, I really love this. I forgot how much I enjoyed playing this instrument. So I decided that while I was in graduate school, I was going to keep working on this in the background and try to overcome these problems I experienced with the horn when I was initially learning it. However, when I got to USC, it didn't take long for me to realize, I think I'd really rather just be playing the saxophone, and I'm not really interested in having any kind of career in science. But the sunk cost fallacy being a thing, I persisted through the program, and this feeling only got worse. So much so that by the end of the program, I was really certain that I didn't want anything to do with science, and I only wanted to do music. But the reality was, I didn't have the skills to be a professional saxophonist because that wasn't my focus over the past 10 years. And I was highly trained in chemistry. So needing to pay rent and buy food, I moved through a number of jobs with my chemistry degrees. Until we reached the very beginning of the pandemic, where I was laid off from my pharmaceutical industry job as a process scientist. At this point, I had a whole lot of free time on my hands, and I thought, I've been collecting information about the saxophone for a long time. I should start sharing it with people and put it on YouTube. And start trying to build some kind of music education side hustle or even career someday. Also, by this point, I had discovered how to really push the range of the saxophone. And I was getting consistently on tenor and even, much to the annoyance of my neighbors, on alto, up to a triple Altissimo A flat. So I wrote a method book to develop a 5-octave range to go along with the YouTube channel. I initially named the channel Supersonic Sax because the intention was to help people develop complete sonic freedom with the saxophone, to be able to play freely from low B flat as far as you wanted to go into the Altissimo register, because that was something that I had personally struggled with for a very long time. I posted as regularly as I could, and it started to gain traction. People were paying attention. And since then, my most popular video on voicing now has over 25,000 views. But then something happened that would permanently change my life, and I had to get off of the saxophone for about 2 years. If you'd like to hear more, check out the next video about how a medical procedure not only completely changed my physical appearance, but also made it significantly easier for me to play the saxophone.